the 5 abilities. First, develop the ability to absorb. Part of the challenge here is to, try to get it all, and taking notes and thinking about the notes you're taking. I know it's almost overload. I understand that, but the first key is to get it. I teach the kids in school. I mentioned in one of these other seminars, nothing worse than being stupid. So you got to gather up all the ideas you possibly can. You can sort through them later, discard what you're not going to use, refine, do whatever you want. But the first key is to get it, right? Nothing worse than being stupid. Being broke is bad, but being stupid is really bad. So here's the key. To get it in whatever form you can. We get it by video. We get it by sermon. We get it by lyrics from the songs, the dialogue in the movie. We get it from personal conversation. We get it from classes. We get it from seminars. Every possible way. The key is to get it and to absorb, to take in. Here's what else, not just ideas, but life itself. Your mind needs to be like a perpetual recorder, recording your life experiences. So don't be lazy now in acquiring life experience, translated to consciousness, translated to ideas, put in your journal, put in your heart, put in your soul. Getting it is vitally important. Now here's the next ability, and that's to respond, to let it touch you, let it affect you. Let happy things make you happy, let sad things make you sad. Because we need not only to be educated, we need to be impressed. We need to be affected. We need to be moved. We need to be stirred. We need to have things to make an impression on our mind, on our soul, so that it lingers, so that it stays, so that it's available to use in communicating with other people. To absorb, let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Here's the third ability, and that's to reflect on it all. I call it run the tapes again. Go back over your experience to make it even more vivid, more powerful, make a bigger impression. Here's some good times to reflect. 1, at the end of the day. Just take a few minutes to go back over the day. Maybe make a few notes. Keeping a journal mine is part diary, part journal. If I was here today, I'd be taking notes, but I also use it, who I've seen and where I've been, and I'm flying from Tokyo to Singapore. Run the tapes again at the end of the day. Think back. Who did you meet and who did you see and what did they say and how did you feel? So that day now is more available, more valuable to you than just another day. At the end of the week, take a few hours at the end of the week just to reflect over the week. The experiences you had, the good ones and the bad ones, the highs and the lows. Part of the gift you can give to others is the gift of your experience if you remember it. If it's vivid, if it's powerful, if it's fresh, if it's unique, if it's vital, you can really affect other people with the relating your own experiences just because you weren't too lazy to live the experience and then reflect on it. Live another week and reflect on it. Take a half a day at the end of the month, reflecting over the month. What were the numbers? Some weren't good, some were good. The books you read, the books you heard about, relating your experiences at the end of the month. At the end of the year, take a weekend. Take some time, reflecting. Here's the key to gather up the past and invest it in the future. Experience is like commodity. It's like coin. Experience is currency. It's more valuable than $1. It's more valuable than $1 million. Your experiences can affect other people's lives. Your experiences invested in your sales career, invested in your parenting career, not being lazy in getting it, living it, getting it, responding to it, remembering it, gathering it. Now it becomes like a vast account from which to draw. It's powerful. I'm going to take all the stuff I've learned and be more conscious of having it near the surface, emotions and emotional experiences near the surface, so that they're available to invest in the next conversation, invest in helping someone else, and invest in your own thinking. You can revitalize your own thinking by going over past experiences, things that you've accomplished that you'd forgotten about, and say, hey, if I did that, why couldn't I do this? You refresh yourself by reviewing, going over the past. It's a good skill to learn. So we've got to learn to absorb, we've got to learn to respond, we've got to learn to reflect. Now here's the next one, learn to act. Now we've got to make all of this stuff useful. There's no use building a whole reservoir of this stuff if you don't use it. And it can be an inexhaustible supply available to use, but now you've got to use it. And if you don't, here's what you live. We call the get-by life. And it's okay to get by. You're not starving to death. Your kids have got clothes. But you may only be 1% toward the abundance you could have simply by being a little careless and not doing this stuff. But now we gather up this stuff, and now the key is to put it into action. We now spend this capital by investing it in labor so that it produces a better marriage, it produces friendship, it produces income, it produces fortune. Helps to relieve suffering. Whatever you can think of to use this stuff, now it must be put into activity because the stuff is an imponderable supply. But what if you had a $10 million bank account and all you wrote was $1 checks? Wouldn't people consider you a little strange? The time to act is when the emotion is high. Because here's a law that sets in if you're not careful, the law of diminishing intent. If you wait too long, what you intended to do just diminishes and diminishes with too much passage of time. So when you're inspired, employ that inspiration. When you've got an idea, employ it, put it to work. See if this seed won't grow into something unique. Action, translate the reservoir of experience into major human productivity, if you'll use it wisely. So we absorb and we respond, we reflect and we act. Now here's the ultimate, and that is to share it all. What you want to make sure is that you have a life process that's giving you more than you personally need for yourself. One of the reasons for creating abundance is to be able to share. If this cup is full, there's only one way for it to hold anymore, and that is to pour some out. So take what you've got and start pouring it out. You'll have room for more to be poured in. But why should we pour more in if there isn't any room? So if you give, you will receive. Let it flow through you. That kind of sharing, so valuable. Life has this unique way of rewarding those who pass on and share those great benefits of ideas and experiences and emotions and stuff that comes your way. Pour it out on as many people as you can reach in your lifetime. Now here's the last subject. Lifestyle. Here's the greatest essence of life, and that's living well. Weaving a tapestry of life experiences. What constitutes a good life? What is a good life? Because that's the highest essence of life, is to live a good life. Let me give you a pretty good list. Here's number one, productivity. You won't be happy if you don't produce. That's why the 6-1 was arranged, so that you spend the greater part of your life and your time producing a working day, produce an idea and make it fly, produce an enterprise and make it grow, produce a relationship and give it life, to create progress. You won't be happy if you don't produce. Work to do that. There's an ancient script that says, the sleep of a laboring man is sweet. Someone who labors to produce with their hands, who works hard, that sleep is sweet. Not the sleep of a drifting man. The sleep of a laboring man. Somebody who works, puts in the time and the effort and the work and the labor. Whether you labor with your hands or labor with your voice, or whatever you do, physical, spiritual, personal, that labor produces good sleep. So we must produce. But here's the rest of a good life. Next is friendship. The greatest support system in the world probably is friendship. And you've got to nourish your friendships. Don't lose contact. Keep in touch. Next is your culture. The dynamics of culture, especially the dynamics of multiculture. A single culture is dynamic. But when you put together multicultures like America, it can produce the most stunning results. It can produce the most incredible wealth, such as never been known to the world in 6,000 years. The wealth that has been created by multicultures working together, contributing to each other. What one lacks, the other one's got. What one got's, the other one shares. What one doesn't have, the other one puts it in. What one doesn't know, the other one does know. But now here's what's important to keep your culture alive. so that it continues to make its dramatic contribution. So culture. Now, here's what's next. Don't miss anything in lifestyle. Just don't neglect the experiences you can have. Some people watch too much television and they neglect all of the experiences they can have. There's a lake in Idaho called Lake Louie. You can drive within 2 miles, and then you got to get out of your car, put the little outboard motor on your back and your fishing pole, and you got to hike the last 2 miles. But when you get there, it is one of the most serene places in all of the world, undisturbed. It is an ultimate high. One, you're about 5,000 feet up. That's a high. A mile high. Amazing. See, you can't have that experience watching the Today Show. So jot this down. Life is not just the passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their frequency and their intensity. The frequency and the intensity of experiences. That's what life is all about, that collection. So don't get trapped into wasting time. Not that watching a television show isn't a waste of time. You know, there's plenty of good stuff, but don't use it as your only source of life experience. Don't miss the game. Don't miss the show. Don't miss the performance. Now, jot this down. If you live well, you will earn well. If you live well, it'll show in your face. If you live well, it'll show in the texture of your voice and your language. If you live well, you'll be attractive. And success is something you attract by becoming an attractive person. Work hard, play hard. All work and no play. One thing you don't want to be is dull. So, in the time away from your labor, in the time away from your commercial obligations, your commercial work, engage in all of this stuff. Don't miss, don't miss. That's what we call a good life.